Deep in the wilderness, a lone man stumbled upon a wounded she-wolf in labor, desperate, vulnerable, and out of time. Despite the danger, he chose to help, risking his life to bring her pups into the world. But just when he thought the ordeal was over, nature delivered a shocking twist he never saw coming. She was trembling like a dying engine, her flanks heaving, blood matting the fur around her hind legs. The she-wolf was in agony, an intensity so raw, so violent, that even car crashes seemed tame in comparison. And there he stood, bare-handed, unprepared, driven by a heart that refused to walk away. He had only meant to go for a morning hike before coffee. No rifle, no supplies, not even a working phone. The battery had died overnight in the cold. The trail had been washed out a month earlier, but curiosity and instinct kept him moving deeper into the forest. That's when he heard the sound, yelping, not barking, not growling. It was the unmistakable cry of panic and pain. He found her near the creek, half covered in mud and pine needles, barely conscious. She tried to dig herself a den under a fallen log, but all she'd managed was a shallow ditch. Her golden eyes met his, wild, wide, and desperate. He should have walked away, but he didn't. She bared her teeth as he approached, snapping weakly. Her strength was nearly gone. Her body convulsed. Then he saw it, a tiny paw emerging, breached. He tore off his jacket, wrapped his hand, and dove in, guided only by instinct and a handful of YouTube vet videos. She didn't bite. Not really. The first pup was still. He cleared its mouth, rubbed it, coaxed it. It gasped. One down. That's when he heard something behind him, branches cracking. Footsteps, fast and closing in. Blood and dirt covered his arms. A living pup in one hand, and no idea what was coming from the trees. He didn't wait. He scooped the she-wolf into his arms. She was heavier than she looked. The pup pressed at his chest, whimpering. She trembled the entire way. He remembered an old hunting shack, uphill about half a mile, where his dad used to take him for whiskey and ghost stories. It had a roof. That was enough. He fought through brambles and slick moss, boots squelching with every step. The wolf snarled and twisted, but never tried to escape. When he finally kicked open the shack door, it slammed against the frame with a cloud of dust. He dropped to his knees and laid her on the old burlap sack that passed for a bed. The place reeked of mildew and rot, but it was shelter. The next minutes blurred in chaos. A second pup came easier, then a third. He was drenched in sweat, adrenaline shaking his hands. She licked the pup's eyes, never looking away from him. In that gaze, something passed between them, understanding, or maybe just the need to believe it existed. He sat against the wall, breathing hard. 3 pups, alive. She was barely hanging on. Then he noticed the tracks outside the door. Large, fresh, not a bear. Wider. He hadn't been alone. He didn't sleep that night. Sat with his back to the wall, eyes flicking between her and the door. The she-wolf no longer growled, just breathed, shallow but steady. The pups nestled against her belly, blind, helpless. When he offered melted snow in a tin cup, she didn't resist. She let him touch the pups. That meant something. He moved with instinct, checking her pulse, watching for fever, talking to her quietly, the way he used to speak to his mother after her stroke. Words she couldn't answer, stories she couldn't respond to, but needed anyway. When sunlight broke through the cracks in the shack, he stepped outside. The boot prints were there. Deep, not his. Someone had circled the shack, twice. Then the man stepped out. Camouflage jacket, heavy pack, rifle on his back, a dark beard. He said nothing. Neither did the hiker. They just stared at each other, 10 yards apart. The silence was electric. The stranger looked toward the shack, then turned and walked into the woods. Not a hunter, not a hiker, something else. Back inside, one of the pups was still. Its breathing shallow, ribs fluttering like torn paper. The others squirmed, but this one was fading. He had no supplies, no antiseptic, not even clean cloth. He told the she-wolf he'd be back. She didn't move, only stared with heavy eyes. He ran. His cabin lay 2 miles east, over the ridge. The trail was burned into his memory. He moved fast, lungs raw, legs screaming. Just reached the bag, the syringes, the glucose, the antibiotics. Then, pain. A snap of metal. Fire down his leg. A rusted bear trap clamped onto his shin, blood soaking his jeans. He screamed. He pried. Nothing. Grabbed a branch. Leveraged it. Cracked bone. And then, the man again. Same silent stare. Same cold presence. Rifle slung over his shoulder. He watched. Said nothing. The hiker didn't know how he escaped the trap. Adrenaline. Maybe. He crawled. Somehow, he made it back. Leg torn. Pain blinding. But he had the med bag. He kicked open the door, heart pounding. She was there. Barely. Bleeding from the shoulder. Between her pups, blood soaking the burlap. The scent of gunpowder clung to the air. She was alive. So were they. In the corner, a rifle. Not his. A torn pack. The man had returned. She must have fought him off. Got shot for it. But he hadn't finished the job. Why? He knelt, trembling hands working fast. She whimpered but didn't bite. He dug for the bullet. Found it. Gauze. Tweezers. He whispered to her, begged her to hold on. Then he opened the stranger's pack. Ammo. Jerky. Maps. And a photo. Black and white. Soldiers in dusty uniforms. One face and the same scar above the brow. But no memory of it. He crawled back to his own cabin at dusk, barely conscious. Dropped to the floor. Opened the box under his bed. Old discharge papers. Burnt photos. A medal. And the same photo, this time with writing. 2 idiots, 1 war. He and Eli. 2006. Eli. The man from the woods. His brother. The realization hit like a wave. How had he forgotten? Why hadn't Eli said anything? Why was he here? At dawn, he returned to the shack. It was empty. The she-wolf was gone. The pups too. No body and no blood, just prints leading into the woods. Steady. She'd walked away, all 3 pups in tow. He stood in the doorway, holding the photo. Sunlight filtered through the trees. Why had she come to him, of all places? Why now? Maybe Eli knew. Maybe he did, too, once. He stared into the trees, but nothing moved. No sound. No return. Only silence. What do you think of this story? Let us know in the comments section. I hope you like this story. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Also, subscribe and press the bell icon to never miss updates from our channel. Thank you.